I testified in New York Saturday on the Black United Front national hearings on white violence against blacks. And as I pointed out, we're going to have to stop being on the defensive. You know, my people had a saying where I grew up, you know, if a rabbit carried a pistol, nobody would be rabbit hunting. I mean, look, seriously, think about it. You know, very few people be out there if a rabbit was shooting back at you. But that's another thing we must look. It was written by Lerone Bennett that history does not forgive those who lose their way. History does not forgive people who lose their way. And so all of this has to be tied up with mental side. And as I stated, and I keep stating, we have some 4 problems. 1, we're in a racist war. 2, everybody knows, every other race knows that but us. 3, every other race knows that race but us. And I'm getting ready to wipe out some people in there in a minute. Knows that race. And 4, we are anti-intellectual, anti-theoretical, and ahistorical. Those are the problems. We don't want to deal with developing a social. We want to act. And we want to act in some manner with somebody else's social theory. Well, let me give you some examples where I start now with the conflict going, internal conflict. There are brothers and sisters who want to do the class analysis, who want to talk to me about it's a class struggle. It's not race. And when you ask a very fundamental question, why is it that for 362 years, we are the only people who have been kept down because of their color in this country and in this world? How do you explain that? Not only that, Russia is not communist. Russia is not Marxist. Russia is nationalist. And the reason I know they're nationalists is because they are buying wheat from the United States. They're the biggest trader the United States has. Here they're selling each other computers and everything, and they want to tell me they're at war with each other. China is not Marxist. China is nationalist. Chinese people are going to look out first for Chinese people. They're crazy as hell if they did anything else. And yet we got the only people who talk about let's give up our race is the one people nobody wants. The black race. That's the mental side. So we're the only group of people who want to give up their race. It's not integration we've been seeking all these years. It's assimilation. We've been asking to assimilate. We're the only people who are willing to give up their race. Oh, I don't care what the color of the person is. I go by character. What's the character? I mean, what's going on? What's going on? And I said, like I said last night, and let me say this right now. When I talk about skin color, I'm not talking about no light-skinned blacks and dark-skinned blacks. I'm talking about white folks and black folks. Now, you want to prove that. If you want to prove that, I'm willing to do this trip when I come back to the other night. I'm willing to let every one of y'all parade through here, and I'll pick out every white person, every black person in here. I don't have to know your politics. I don't have to know nothing about you. I'll pick out every black and every white in here tonight. But we go, oh no, how do you tell who's black and who's white? It's much better. What's their attitude? What's their philosophy? You know, anything, how is it, as I said before, how is it a Japanese can tell the difference between a human and a Chinese? We can't tell the difference. All of them look alike, though. You know, they can tell the difference. Here you got them telling the difference between that, and we can't tell the difference between ourselves and white. How are you going to tell the difference, Bobby? There are some of us who pass. If you can pass, you ain't black. No. Let's say something. If you want to have it, let's stop having a black student union. If everything can be black, we ain't got no color. We ain't got no race. So let's stop the jive. If everybody can be black, if black does not stop nowhere, then let's stop using the term. Because that's why we're in all this trouble. We refuse to put parameters on our race. Here, every white person in this country can tell you who's black and who's white, from the lowest child to the top. Yet we have problems with it. 362 years of oppressing us, of enslaving us, and we still resist that history. In fact, when the hostages came back, I still insist that what we should do is begin to wear a sign saying, here we have been in here, these hostages 400 days. We've been held hostage for 362 years, and there are no negotiations going on for us. Nobody's negotiating. And then let me give you an idea of what some of our left-wing white comrades tell us. A Jewish communist will tell you, listen, you can't keep going back to the past. And they're still hunting Germans for what happened to them 40 years ago. What happened to them 40? So it's all right for the Jews to go and kill Germans, but what happened to them 40 years ago? It's all right for them to demand that Germany pay them for what they did to 6 million of them, so-called, 40 years ago. But blacks don't even ask for being paid for 262 years, for 250 years of slave labor. We have never even asked them to pay us. Even we say, oh, they don't owe us nothing. The hell they don't. They owe us blood and nothing else. I mean, what other group of people? What other group? Listen, you gotta clap. Listen, Carol, you clap if you want to. But listen, what other group of people in the world, like us? We're the most forgiving people in the world for other people, but if your sister wear your dress, you're a shooter. You will shoot her. If a brother step on your foot, you will shoot him. That's menticide. That's menticide. People keep asking, why do blacks kill blacks? Why do we treat each other so bad? Blacks kill blacks. Why? Because they've never been trained to kill whites. Therefore, it's outside their experience. You kill and you love people you've been trained to do that too. We have been trained, and we've been trained not to love black folks. We've been trained to kill black folks like everybody else. In the history of this country, as I said last night, in the history of this country, not one white person has ever been legally put to death, regardless of the crime they've committed against a black person. In the history of the country, not one white person has ever been legally executed, regardless of the crime they've committed against them. Yet thousands and thousands of black men and women have been killed for legal and illegal reasons of what they say that they did against whites. Somebody's got to begin to look at that. We can no longer afford to just sit here and begin to wish that things were better. They're not going to get better. They're going to get worse. Because for the first time, they have a method of exterminating people. Let me, before y'all get too far, that I'm thinking I'm going way out here, because the day a sister called me at the radio station after I got through, and she said, Doctor, I want to let you know that you said everything. I'm in tears for what you said. She said, but I want to let you know that I had a brother here, and he said that you were from Africa somewhere, and that you were crazy as hell, and I'm having a problem with that. Let me tell you, because we do wipe each other out. You see, some of you are going to go right here and say, hey, man, that brother's radical. That brother's a militant. See, the only people who are militant are us. Anytime you say he's militant, you talk about black folks. You don't ever hear of a militant Jew. You never hear of a militant Irish. Anytime you use the word militant, it means some fool been up talking. See, I said, well, again, we wipe each other out. He ain't got nothing to say. That's rhetoric. And then the other thing they pull on you. He's too emotional. So I'm supposed to stand up here and say, 15 black children have been killed in Atlanta. 18 are missing, 3 more are missing. Now, isn't that terrible? We should look at that objectively. Say, Jews in there and Irish and all get on there and cry over everything. But when blacks somehow get up there, they say, oh, you must not be emotional. He's emotional. You must be scientific. And so these are the processes of menticide. Let me give you some more that you relate to. Sarah. And I'm going to talk about the race, show you how different. One of the problems we have is because of this. The reason I'm hitting on this much is because of images. And I'll talk more about this tomorrow with the black male and black female relationships, but if you look at our images, if you look at what is sexually attractive, and how we are bombarded every day, even in our own magazine, with images that simply contradicts the existence of 99% of the black sisters in existence. The images we are projected. Look at the way they put shows on TV. Look at the way when they put the advertisements on TV, the commercials. And now I'm going to talk about things you all think are very positive. Let me talk about a couple of them. Most certainly, most black folks thought The Wiz in both forms was positive. The Wiz was one of the most negative shows in existence. If for no other reason, the movie version, because Dorothy Silverstein played the lead, Diana Silverstein, who y'all call Diana Ross, played the lead. But in The Wiz, I'm going to take you all back through it to show you how mental side operates subconsciously. In The Wiz, there was this little black girl named Dorothy. I did not see the movie version. I refused to see dead people. And people like Diana Silverstein is dead. The Wiz show. How many of you saw it? So you'll have some frame of crime. In the Wiz, this young girl named Dorothy was blown away just like the Wizard of Oz. And she began to blow away from home, and she was trying to find her way back. And she came in contact with Evelina, the evil witch from the South or from somewhere.
Welcome to another edition of African Americans Ain't African. Welcome to another edition of African Americans Ain't African Radio, the talk show that proves without a shadow of a doubt that the so-called African American didn't find his way to America stuffed in the trunk of a ship. I'm your host, Buck Wylam, and tonight we're going to look at the holiday that many of us will celebrate tomorrow and try to go into the dynamics of why we still participate in such shenanigans. Tonight we're going to look at the 4th of July and its impact on the African American. You can check us out at AfricanAmericansAintAfrican.org. We're on Facebook at African Americans Ain't Africa, African Americans Ain't Africa in the Facebook chat room, or you can give us a call tonight and join our conversation this evening at area code 256-849-2227. Tonight I'm going to be joined by my co-host Niecy Lachelle. Niecy, how you feeling tonight?
Hey, how you doing? How's everybody doing? Doing all right, Carrie?
I'm doing well. Could you mute your phones in the background, please? Because we have some sounds coming over the back, and we want to give some information tonight that would be most valuable to the community, and so we hope you enjoy it tonight. Tomorrow, many of us, and it started today. I saw it today. I was walking down the street today, and everybody was getting their haircuts, their car shined up, buying fireworks for the big festivities tomorrow. And that's why I'm playing Dr. Bobby Wright, so we can understand what this menticide is, and we can understand why the African American community is walking around here acting crazy. And we can use all the excuses we want to, but there's no excuses for us. This is right in our face. So one of the reasons why African Americans Ain't Africans exists is because we want to start using correct terms and frames of reference so it can become crystal clear on what we need to do. Because we're just walking in circles, chasing our tails, and our situation in the communities are getting worse and worse and worse. So playing Dr. Bobby Wright, even though the tape is 30 years old, he gives us one of those frames of references on how these things happen to us. And one of the things that Dr. Bobby Wright said tonight in the speech that was playing before the program started, he was saying history does not forgive those who lose their way. See, everything that's been happening to us, it's on the record. Our problem is that we just don't search it out. And the suffering that we go through tonight, it seems today, in this day and age, the suffering that we go through, we seem to have gotten comfortable with it. One of the ways that we're trained and co-opted to get into this mindset is by holidays. The holidays they give us. Thanksgiving holiday. The African American community celebrates that like it was their birthday, when it was actually the takeover of your land and resources. So while people celebrate, so how do we look when people celebrate taking over our land, resources, children, everything we own? What do we look like to the rest of the world when we up celebrating it? A perfect example of not celebrating it would be on the football games. None of the African American players play. We don't see things like that. All we see is making sure that we do what we're told to do. Then you have the holiday 4th of July, which is tomorrow. And while you guys are out tomorrow, check out how patriotic we are. And everybody knows what patriots are. Patriots was the army that came and killed off the indigenous people. But we're on their side. That's menticide, as Dr. Bobby Wright would say. So the 4th of July. The 4th of July is a national holiday marked by patriotic displays. Since when did we become patriots. I mean, if you pass by the VA hospital today, you see brothers hanging out, almost laying in the streets. When brothers came back from the Korean War, World War I, and World War II, they got treated like dogs in this country. As a matter of fact, the countries that they were fighting against, those people that they were fighting against came over and was getting more respect from the United States than the so-called black people. But yeah, we still patriotic. All of a sudden, we're patriots. But the 4th of July is when you search for the history of the American Revolution, you will find that it was what they were trying to do was separate from Britain. Now, this is the story that's told to us and our children. During the 4th of July, that whole scenario was set up, and these are just constructs. These things, we don't even know if they're real or not. But this is what is taught to us to get us mentally on these people's vibe. Well, they told us that the American Revolution, it was a time when the so-called 13 colonies were forming a legal separation from Great Britain. Now let's just take that train of thought, because this is where this is the road many of us go down when we're thinking. My first question is, if Britain was so great, why was there a need for a separation? See, these are questions that we don't ever ask. There wasn't a need. Because if you notice at that time, all the colonies at that time were getting their land patents from Britain. If you wanted to own land over here in America, you had to go to Britain to get a land patent. So what does that mean? They were fighting against that. No, they were fighting against the Americans. They were fighting against you. That was the problem. And that's one of the reasons they get us in this mind twist that we in. Whatever they tell us, we follow it like our mama told us that. There was a war on the Americans, and they concocted this whole story. And if you go down the story and just look at it, we're going to go through some of the songs that came up during that time. We're going to go through some of the customs that they do and see if this so-called 4th of July is something that we should be participating in. Nisi, what do you say?
I say you're absolutely right. I had been doing a little bit of research on it, and I mean, the information is out there for everybody to look up and to partake in the discussions and discern for yourself. When you talk about Britain, we're supposed to be fighting them. They ended slavery almost 35 years or so before we did. And what's not told, because I didn't know it. If I did know it, when I was in school, I don't remember it. But I found out that 20,000 Americans or less fought alongside the British, and 5,000 fought for the continental United States. That really struck me, to know that. And I'm sure a lot of people don't know that. So this whole construct, all of this stuff, it is, I just know that most of it is tantamount to fable. It's not even real. It can't be real. So when someone wants to make up something, then they're going to always make the hero, the heroine, or whatever, come from their perspective. So that's what we have.
But during this time, also, this is when the term United States became popular. Because, remember, the United States is the corporation. America is the land. See, a lot of times we get it confused. We say United States and America is the same thing. It's not. If you go and look up where you go find the corporations in the world, Dun and Bradstreet, if you go to Dun and Bradstreet, you will see that the United States is a corporation. America is the land. So when they say the United States of America, they are actually saying the United States over America. They set up their corporations here on the land, take the resources, and when I say the resources, people are resources too. This is something that we also like to separate and like to get ourselves out of too. The people are the human resources. That's why they have human resources. So when you look at the American Revolution, it means that it was a war on the Americans. Now, many African Americans will side with the United States and say this is not the case. But when you listen to the song The Star-Spangled Banner, it will prove to you without a doubt, if you listen to it, that they are just basically talking about killing you off. And in 2014, I find this amazing that we don't even see that this is the case. So we'll go through the song tonight and pick up some of the lyrics in it and see what they're talking about. Nisi?
Well, as I was doing some research, I found Frederick Douglass's speech, the one that he was asked to give. And he was asked to give this speech on Independence Day celebration in 1852. Okay, of course we know the Civil War ended in 1865. And he was asked to give this speech at Rochester's Corinthian Hall, and it was at a time when most so-called black people were not free. When he gave the speech, he thought that the audience wasn't sure what to expect. They didn't get what they thought that they were going to get, and so that was good. And he said, this 4th of July is yours, not mine. You may rejoice, I must mourn. And he asked them, he said, do you citizens mean to mock me? This is Frederick Douglass. Do you mean to mock me by asking me to speak today? And this is in 1852. And the speech went on to be a central question that was asked by Douglass: what to the slave is the 4th of July? And it's a very in-depth speech of his, and you can find it online.
So, Nisi, if we were going to ask that question today, maybe that's what I might do tomorrow. Take my camera and go to a whole bunch of these picnics and ask them. In 1852, Frederick Douglass said, what is it, Nisi? What is the 4th of July to a slave, or what is that?
Yeah, he told the citizens, which were predominantly so-called white, he went so far as to address them and saying that they were mocking him in 1852, to ask him to give a speech, albeit he was a free so-called black man, to give a speech about Independence Day.
Now, here we are 100 and something years later, and most of the so-called African American thinking is back there in the 1800s. That's menticide. And this is the problem with that. Many of those same African Americans will stand up and defend their right for this genocide to keep going on in our community. That's the problem. That's the purpose of the African American. That's what the African American was trained for. That's what the African American role is in the United States paradigm. That's all it is. We think we're doing something autonomous. We think that we're doing something that is best for us. The African American does no such thing. The African American sole purpose is to make sure that their masters are comfortable. If anybody can disprove that, give us a call at 256-849-2227. See, we playing with this thing too long, and now we're starting to see the genocide starting to play itself out because of the way we think. One of the ways that we get into this mindset, or one of the ways that we get into this mental thinking, are the songs that we are coerced to participate into when we're growing up. We get all these songs. One of the songs was the Star Spangled. One of the songs that we got were the Star Spangled Banner. Okay, so if you listen to the Star Spangled Banner, you have to listen to the whole song. The songs that they play at baseball games and graduations and all that, that's like a third of the song. You got to go and read all of those lyrics to the whole song, and basically what they're doing is talking about wiping you out. That's all. That's all. They're talking about wiping you out. So we're going to stay in the first stanza. We're not going to even go to the ones that they don't talk about. These are the ones that all these Negroes get up and sing, and people be crying. People cry. We get all emotional in it, and all they're talking about is blowing you off this planet. How come we don't see this? How come we don't see that? Why do we play these games? Are we that stupid? Now, many of us, we don't call us stupid. We're not. We're the black man. I posted the definition of black on African Americans Ain't African today. Really? These are our elders. Here's some of the lyrics to the song, The Star Spangled Banner. O'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming. I always ask my students, what's a rampart? A rampart is one of the mounds. When you go to some of these Indian parks throughout America, you'll see these giant mounds. The giant mound signifies a pregnant mother. The children come out of the earth. The children come out of the earth. That signifies us. 704, I mean, dude, can you just mute your phone? Ramparts are the mounds. That signifies our mother. So they're talking about killing your mother and killing the children on the earth. But since we don't know the definitions of most of the words we use, the African American probably doesn't even know what half the words he speaks means. They don't know what we don't know what we're doing. Ramparts are the mounds. Ramparts signify the mother, and they're telling you in that song, watching these ramparts, we're gallantly streaming. They're dropping bombs on you. Rockets' red glare, the bombs bursting in air. They're dropping bombs on you. And we will get up. Now check out what this does. Check out, this is menticide. When you have all these Marvin Gayes and all these so-called great people singing these songs, other people know what these songs mean because they wrote them. We don't know them. And we'll get up and hear Whitney Houston say it and Janet Jackson sing these songs. What we are doing is giving energy, spiritual energy. Please, could you mute your phone? I mean, or cut off the computer. You're trying to get a recording here, and the rocket's red glare, bombs bursting in air. They're letting you know that they're killing you out, dropping bombs on you. So, when you go to pick up your fireworks tomorrow, and this is a psychological. This is one of the psychologics that keeps us confused. When we go get those fireworks, we are recreating those thoughts and ideologies that these Europeans have over us. Because aren't we sending off bombs in the air? I mean, they're not bombs that could hurt anybody, of course, but aren't we simulating the same thing that they were doing to us and singing those songs? Area code 256-849-2227. We have a few callers on the line. Callers, is there something you want to add?
Hey, yo, bro, this is Rick.
What's going on, Rick?
Man, I out here, man, trying to get my little truck fixed, man. I broke down. Somebody acting like I'm using somebody else.
You had a question or something to add?
No, you can go ahead. I just wanted to let you know that I was here, and I'll probably interject later.
Okay. Nisi, did you have something else you wanted to add?
Well, I was thinking part of our biggest problem is the vortex of our identity. And of all the groups, we struggle with that. We struggle with it for hundreds of years, for whatever reason, and we don't want to embrace who we really are. So I would simply say that a big part of the problem is the craving for assimilation. You see it every day. And so because of that, we struggle with our identities. We feel the need to be a group of people and identify with something that we're not. And I think that in and of itself causes some type of psychosis. I mean, simply put, I'm not a psychiatrist, but that's what you see.
Okay, but Nisi, when you say assimilate into what? So if I tell you to assimilate with me and move into my house, and I don't have no windows in the house, you'll bring that up. If I tell you to assimilate into my car and I don't have no passenger seat in my car, you'll ask me assimilate into what? What are we assimilating into? Are we assimilating into the raiders? Are we assimilating into these pirates that are over here doing what we pretend? Because that's one thing that the African American is excellent at, is pretending that they don't see what's happening. So what are we assimilating into?
We are assimilating. Go ahead.
Hi, this is Dee. I'm from South Florida, and I just wanted to add with regards to assimilation. That was one of the portions of the Declaration of Independence, that they had these folks that were out there that were actually called assimilationists, and what they did actually was create a law or a policy of assimilation for the indigenous people of the Americas. And that assimilation was to make us civilized. So that was the assimilation. And that mental trauma that they place on us by that forced assimilation with regards to the educational system, the religious indoctrination, keeping us from speaking our native tongue, just blatantly stripping us of our culture, making us cut our hair, making us wear clothing. All these things that they did to us was by design, of course, because they wanted us to assimilate into their culture. They want us to become civilized. And because we now today do not know who we are, and that we actually experience these things through portions of the Declaration of Independence, we continue to have that same mindset and that same programming of assimilation. It's like it's consistent.
Well, Dee, why do you think it is taking so long? Because Nisi was talking about the Frederick Douglass speech was in the mid-1800s or later 1800s. What is it that keeps us from progressing as a group of people? Now, one of the things that we like to brag about is how much education we have and how much we have it going on and how much we have climbed in this system and got to this glass ceiling. Why do you think it is that we haven't progressed it seems like an inch. A few people have, but why is it that many of us are still caught in this?
That's a very difficult question. I have posed that question to several people who that's as well indoctrinated into the system, but they're indoctrinated in the system and they go along with it. But they know. People have told me. I understand that we're in a slave system. I understand that we've been lied to. I understand everything that you are saying to me, Dee. But guess what? As long as me and my family are all right and I'm doing my thing and I'm doing what I want to do, I'm good. I'm good. So as long as things are, in their opinion, easy for them and they don't have to sacrifice anything, they're happy. It's sad but true. Nisi, right? Nisi had stated something earlier when she talked about some indigenous people actually was on the side of the British, even though it was the British and the colonists was one and the same. The indigenous people thought that being on the side of the British against the colonizers would preserve their land, because the British, made this agreement with them that it would help them preserve the land. You'd be on our side, whatever. But at the end of it, everything was still taken from them. Everything was still their land was taken from them. Their culture was still taken from them, even though the British supposedly lost.
So would you say that was that was a major mind screw up for us, going on another person's side to help you, but this person is actually in cohesion with the people that you're supposedly fighting? You're thinking
exactly.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like, damn if I do, damn if I don't. So did this mentality, or did this self-defeatist attitude, did this victimization mindset and thought process carry on throughout our entire history almost?
Yes.
Hey, if I may interject, Buck, if you read that Declaration of Independence, if you seriously read it and see what it says, you will see that it's not for you anyway. Basically, what that Declaration of Independence was talking about is the problems that the colonists were having with England or Britain or whoever. It has nothing to do with us. As a matter of fact, Woodrow Wilson said that the Declaration, after the preface, the Declaration of Independence is something else. It's not even what it is. And the preface where it says, all men have the right to live in life, living in pursuit of happiness, all that part. First little paragraph. Outside of that, everything is pertaining to the troubles that the colonists were having with Britain, and it had nothing to do with the indigenous people.
Right. So, but the history they give, what's taught to us, and I think that's one of the things that keeps us divide and conquer today amongst each other. We think, we'll be rooting. Here's an example. The World Cup is going on right now. You have Negroes rooting for England, and you have Negroes rooting for the USA. How any Negro roots for the USA in the Olympics, in anything, baffles my mind. Now, they may have a couple of Negroes on the team. That I never understood that. Nisi?
The more I study and learn about our history as a people, it behooves me deep, because what you're going to unearth and find is the truth. And I'm in agreement with everyone. When you look at for instance, our wealth assets today, they are about the same as they were post-Reconstruction. And that's the truth. and you can do your own follow-up and find that to be the case. So the question is, what is it that we have to celebrate? We give ourselves credit for the mediocrity because each time you say something, then we do the same thing that our so-called oppressors do. We come up with a handful of people to hold up on public display and say, look at these people. Well, however they amass what they have and whoever they are, they're not the comfortable norm. And so that's what we're trying to get to. We had a show just a couple of days ago about the need for more mental athletes. And, I mean, you're trying to figure this thing out. And the more you talk to people, what I find, just plain and simple, they seem to be in a comfortable complacency of mind. And, you know, if you know something, you're compelled to try to do something about it, to share, to embrace solutions, or at least hash out solutions. So you're compelled to do that. And for the life of me, the majority of the people don't want to do that.
I don't think we're in a comfortable. I think that's a lie that we hide behind. One of the things that African Americans are astute at is lying to try to cover up what's really going on. Two sisters in the last 4 days and here in Birmingham have just been killed by their boyfriends.
Oh.
That's and it happens a lot. How are we comfortable with that? Where Jesus at? Where's all these beliefs and all this spiritual and mental energy that we put into effect? How does that help us? And it doesn't help us. It helps eradicate us because we're believing in things that we don't understand. Here's another example. The songs that we sing, the how we put our whole life energy into this. This is still the songs, the Star Spangled Banner. Now, I just gave you a couple of lyrics about they wrote about bombs bursting in the air and standing on the mounds and stuff. Now remember, this song was written in Baltimore. And this is what I mean where we have to connect the dots. This song was written in Baltimore. Who were the indigenous people who lived in Baltimore at the time? To give you an example, people who look like Frederick Douglass, people who look like the people on the Redskin helmet. These are the people who they were fighting. Why aren't we I'm sorry. There is no excuse for us not knowing this stuff. There's no other than we are mentally lazy. But here are some other parts of the song that they never sing. These are, how they, it's like a church song. They'll just sing the first and second verse for time. Check this out. No refuge could save the hireling and slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave. Let me check this out. This is how we always twist it. So when the next time you having a talk with an African American and you're trying to share with them, these are the kind of things you have to share because we just don't know. No refuge could save the hiring and slave from the terror of flight or the gloom of the grave. Now, a hireling is a mercenary. And a mercenary, and the most perfect example I can give from a mercenary from our side of view is the Buffalo Soldier.
Right.
What is the Buffalo? Bob Marley, who everybody loves, made a song about the Buffalo Soldiers, and all they were brothers hired as mercenaries by the United States government to go up north and kill some other brothers. We stand up and clap for that.
Same with the Cowboys too, Buck.
Same with the Cowboys. Another verse of the song. Check this out. Then conquer we must, when our cause it is just. So the question that we have to ask is, well, who are they conquering? If the United States, you had to, in the United States, you had to get your land grants from England. England was running this. The United States is one of England's companies. They have the same colors. Their flags almost look exactly the same. What is wrong with us where we can't see that? That's what I want to know. 256-849-2227. AfricanAmericans-Ain't-African.org. Please go to our website. We have the Bobby Wright. We're playing the Bobby Wright CD to get everybody familiar with Menticide. Please support us on AfricanAmericans-Ain't-African.org. Pick up the CD. We'll send you the CD. I'll send it right to your computer. Leave a donation for us. I'm trying to keep the radio program going. We're getting a lot of good feedback from the people. So, I want to thank everybody, because everybody let me know they really appreciate this show, and we appreciate the listeners that help keep us going. Another verse of the song, and these are the songs that they sing to us that we sing, but at the end of the show I want to let you know what these songs do to us. Here's another verse of the song. Then conquer we must, when our cause it is just. Who are they conquering? England? Who are they conquering? Nisi?
They're conquering indigenous people. They're conquering our people. Us.
So what do we look? You're right. So, but let me. This is the question I want to add to this. So what do we look like when we get up and sing these songs, and it's actually talking about the eradication of ourselves?
Idiot.
And what?
Here's my question.
Yes,
I
ma'am.
was just going to say, why do we have people who fight tooth and nail when you lay down the information? Because you have two groups of people, in my mind, and this is just how I try to break it down. You have people who don't know and who want to know, and you have people who don't know and they don't want to know, or they're comfortable with whatever they think they know. And so when you look at this, you talk to people and they are agitated, they are angry, and they, are attacking you as the messenger, and you're trying to give them knowledge and to help them wrap their own heads around what they are embracing as lies, indoctrinated lies.
I think that's the perfect example of menticide, because I know brothers who will stand up and say, "You got to kill these niggas. We need our country." I know brothers who think they white. I'm serious. They will dog another brother or sister out. They think they're white. These are African Americans. You have to remember that the African American is not something that's self-created or nature created. The African American is something that Europeans created. And 99.9% of what the African American does is done for the service of his masters. Area code 256-849-2227. We have a few callers on the line. Callers, anybody have anything they want to add?
Hey, real quick, I checked out debate.org and I posed a question. 88%. The question was, should blacks celebrate the 4th of July? 88% said yes, 12% said no.
Wow.
I can believe it.
So, if you have 88% of the people okay with the genocide of themselves, what does that say? You about to have America look like North America in a few years, because once you kill the people off, the land's gonna go with it.
Could be another Egypt.
That's where the African American is at that time. Here's some other songs associated with Independence Day, and then we'll get to some of the callers. Check out these songs. God Bless America. America the Beautiful. My Country 'Tis of Thee. This land is your land. Remember that? This land is your land. This land is my land. To get you thinking that we all kumbaya. We're all brothers and sisters. That's the way the African American thinks. That's the way the African American carries themselves. Stars and stripes forever. Yankee Doodle Dandy in the north and Dixie in the south. Now, I've seen some Negroes dance to Dixie. I wish I was in Dixie, hooray, hooray. Yep. I have seen Negroes go straight Uncle Ruckus and dance to that. So, the 4th of July, Frederick Douglass made the statement, the 4th of July, what is the 4th of July to the Negro? My answer to that question is simple. The 4th of July to the Negro is just further, the foot is on the pedal on genocide. Because you cannot sing. Singing means you're happy. Singing means you're full of joy. Singing means you're trying to put out something that is really important to you and you want to sing it. And you're astute enough, you're smart enough to put it in you're shaping the lyrics to make it sound better than just a thought. That's what singing is to me. And when you sing about your own destruction, you're in the middle of your destruction. Rick?
Hey, I couldn't agree more. When you sing about your own demise, that it also makes it easier them to make you history. So
right.
Our people out there who listen tonight, I hope y'all paying good attention to what Buck and everybody else is saying, because hey, as long as your mind is not open and you're not thinking, hey, they doing whatever they want to behind your back and you don't even know it. And they can tell you in your face. They're already doing it now by letting you wear dreadlocks, letting you wear all the colors that we wore back in the early days, and they let you do that and you don't even know what's going on. What it means, anything.
One of the things that I find amazing is the Negro support of the fireworks. I had a couple of family members today ask me, "You coming over for fireworks tomorrow?" No, it was the same. It's just the same thing over and over and over. Fireworks haven't changed since I've been on the planet. It's the same thing over and over and over, and that's how I know it's nothing different. I mean, you don't go to the movies to see the same movie over and over and over again. But we buy the fireworks. Nothing's different. Nothing's new.
Mm-hmm.
And we're into it. I mean, man, I know cats that spend $400 and $500 on fireworks.
And another thing, these guns too. Everybody got to break out their gun and start shooting and everything. As a matter of fact, it reminds me of a story on the 4th of July when this is my daughter. She's walking with a couple of nieces of mine, and fireworks going off, people shooting and everything, and they walking around like ain't nothing going on. So, I asked them, y'all don't hear them people shooting these guns and all this fire and that? One niece said, they just shooting up in the air. So I asked her, I said, well, have you ever heard of the sentence, what goes up must come down? And that's how we do. We treat all these holidays like they don't mean anything. Like it's a time to celebrate when actually you're putting yourself in danger by being out there messing with those fireworks and shooting those guns and putting other people in danger.
Speaking of guns, have you noticed that now all these states are coming out with the open carry? You can carry your guns anywhere you want to now. The Georgia,
right.
You can carry, and this is what I mean about us knowing our history. When they did that back in the 20s and 30s, this is what we have to understand. They can just do a signal and just start firing on everybody at will. You done seen the school shootings they've been going on. You got open carry. Open carry is like, what's up? Open carry to me, and please call me at area code 256-849-2227 if you agree or disagree. But open carry is definitely a declaration of war. What do you need to walk around with a gun for?
Hey, that's what they used to do back in them old cowboy movies. When they get ready to draw on each other, that's the first thing they do is show their little piece.
Right. Why you got to walk around with your weapons on your hip and on your shoulder when you know the majority of people don't have weapons? What is that?
And then you know what else? I was just going to say the part of that law that people forget is that they don't have, whoever has the gun, if you are perceived as some type of threat, quote unquote, because the wording and the verbiage we never pay attention to, they don't have a duty to retreat. You would think that if someone, if you're not looking for trouble, or you're not just having in the back of your mind to kill someone, you will want to be able to get away. You really don't want to have to kill anyone unless they're trying to do bodily harm to you. But no, that's not the design and the intent of the law. The intent of the law is to give these people who have these guns, to give them the long arm of the law to be vigilantes and to literally kill at will, because once that person's dead, they can't tell their story or whatever happened. So it's whatever they piece together to make it fit, and we don't have to look past Trayvon Martin and all the other types of, those types of tragedies to know that it stands up in court.
Rick?
It's just another level of...
Go ahead, Dee.
I just look at it as another level of genocide. I live in Florida. Of course, we have that stand your ground law. And they have here a concealed weapon law. As long as you have a little piece of paper that says that you can carry your weapon on your person anytime, any place, you just cannot carry it in a bar or in your workplace. Those are the only places that you cannot carry it. That, coupled with the stand your ground law, gives anybody the right. If you look at me a certain kind of way, I feel threatened, so I'm going to stand my ground. Pow, pow, I'm shooting you dead, case closed.
This land is your land. This land is my land. This is, I mean, it's funny. Yes, it's funny, but this is what I mean. This is why us being psychologically dead like we are, and I know a lot of times when I say this, especially when I'm out in public or in giving lectures and stuff, people like to look at the poor people who are destitute in this what we call the United States. They like to look at them as crazy. That could be further from the truth. The ones that are smack dab in the middle, making this go, holding up for the United States. Are we paying attention to what's happening over in Russia now? What's about to happen in Russia? The war. This war thing is always, we're right in the middle of it all the time. They're going to take more of our sons, now our daughters. I don't know how we got so stupid into letting our daughters go into the Army and the Marines. Well, I guess we were stupid enough to send our sons, or I guess we're dumb enough to send our daughters too. So to use our children for cannon fodder so these people can keep doing what they're doing. That's what I don't understand about us. Rick?
And also another thing you got to think about is if our children, sons and daughters getting sent over there, so now who's watching the fort over here? And as I see a bunch of, and you saw it during Katrina, for one example, is they got a bunch of foreign troops over here watching over you. Now, what's gonna end up happening is they're not gonna have a problem shooting you when told by Mapper. When he tells them to shoot you, that's what because he's not losing nothing. While your children are over there getting killed themselves. So they wiping out all of our children. And they probably took the females in because the females It's an easy way. Now they can't have children, so we'll kill them too. So they can't have children, and and stuff like that. And we don't even look at stuff like that.
I was listening to a program and they were talking about the troops in America. If something went down in America, and this was interesting, the military troops, you having a lot of backlash in the military today because a lot of people in the military are starting to pick up on what's going on. And so the question was asked, would the American troops, take up arms in America? It was like 90% of the troops said no. Then the next thing they came out and said that there are over 1 million foreign troops on American soil today. Over 1 million. And the way the border is open on Mexico now, not saying that the border, all of these, the way this country and America is diced up into Central America, Mexico, Canada, all this, it's just one landmass. But it's carved up so the confusion can keep going.
But don't forget, excuse me. I was just going to say, don't forget when you said what you said about the military, we have in their place, which is the buffer zone, you have the police. They're now militarized, so they're the first responders, and you see what they're doing. I mean, it's not just so-called black people. I'm seeing escalations of people, period, where brutality and things are taking place. People still don't seem to have reached a level of outrage about it. At any point, you can, look online and find all kinds of videos that will literally have your head hurting. You can barely watch them. So,
Can I say something about the international troops?
Yes.
I was one of the dumb ones that went into the Army. Hey, I did. And I was in the Army during the 80s. And so this whole international cross-training, cross-whatever is not new. I actually trained with international troops. There were international troops training, check this, at Fort Belvoir, Virginia, because I was stationed there, and I was also stationed at Fort Myers, right outside of D.C. So this is not anything new. When I was in Germany, we had other troops from Turkey, from France, on the American installations in Germany. This is not something that is new. It's just that it's compounding. Something obviously is getting ready to happen because it's being robust. It's happening more regularly. It's just amplifying. So that makes me think that there's something definitely that's getting ready to happen because of the heightened amount of troops that are over here now.
So Dee, let me ask you this. When you say it's getting more robust or it's getting heightened, is this something that you can feel, you're seeing it, you hear it's being talked about, it's in the news? What do you mean by that, and how are you coming up with that conclusion?
Absolutely. One of the things that we failed to realize, at least what I have researched, is that the United States in itself is a full military complex. That's exactly what we are. This is what the role of this country is. So regardless of who is running what, this country's role in this entire global network is to be the power. So in order for it to be a total world, new world order, whatever you want to call it, whatever collaboration they got going on globally, they're going to have that collaboration from all other countries in terms of that military power, that structure. And with the United States being in the forefront, they are like, they're the trainers. They're training these soldiers how to do it. I can't say that word, but they're teaching them how to be a power, a force. So, just like Nisi was saying, you can see it all on the internet. Honestly, it's all around us.
but while I was asking you that, yeah, and Nisi's right. It is all. I mean, they dogging people out. I mean, shooting people for opening a soda. That's how ridiculous these crimes are getting. But I'm saying, as a female, as a mother, can you feel in the air? If it's being talked about in the town that you lived in, or is it something that you're seeing? Because one of the let me just close it with this. One of the things I noticed is they have a VA hospital here in Birmingham, and if anybody that walks by it is wiping away tears. So is it something that you're feeling in the air? You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. Well, one of the things that we do have here in the area that I'm in, there's Air Force bases, and there's a number of VA hospitals. They have exercises all the time here, military strategic exercises. It's just not an annual thing. And the crazy part about it is that they incorporate the people, the civilians, and they make the civilians think that we are having these exercises and we're doing all these trainings to protect you in case of an emergency. And so everybody's all in there like saluting the soldiers that pass by. We actually have tanks and all types of military equipment going up and down our roadways every day. And it's more so, I've noticed it in the last, I'd say, 3 years, more so than anything. At least the last 2.5 years, I've noticed that it's almost becoming commonplace to see just brigades of military vehicles just all over the place, out in different parks, doing exercises. And to Nisi's point, yes, they are doing that in collaboration with the local police forces as well. So it's almost as if some of these military guys are kind of training the police as well. So it's a really weird and eerie look. It really is.
I just wanted to say one quick thing. Remember when they had the shooting in Boston? This was lost on a lot of people, but I talked about it with several of my friends and acquaintances. They put that city on literal lockdown. Do you remember that?
Which city was that, Nisi?
Boston. When they had the shooting, they put the city on lockdown.
Yes, ma'am.
I saw footage of soldiers and because they called in National Guard or what have you, police, bringing milk to the people's doors because they had kids and they hadn't gone to the grocery store. But see, we have microwavable memories, and we don't remember that. Most people don't. They don't remember that.
So basically what we have in America, according to Dee and according to Nisi, is this basically a 4th of July every day in the United States.
Yes, and the people, the citizens, they are so patriotic. They are so proud to see that they're having these exercises because they know that the government and the military and these good old boys in uniform are actually looking out for their best interests. That's their mindset. That's their thought. And sad to say, they're not seeing the bigger picture. But you have to ask yourself, well, why do we need that here so much, so often? Why are you practicing to get the like the mayor? Why are you practicing to get the government extracted? Who are you extracting them from? Why? Who are you protecting them from? You see.
Yes. Well, we've come to another close in African Americans Ain't Africa, talking about this 4th of July. And what I mean, we just came to the conclusion that the 4th of July is every day in America, because according to Nisi, Dee, and from what we're seeing, the troops are dying. There's militarizations of our streets. Another thing, Rick, when you brought up New Orleans during Hurricane Katrina. And this is very important. Remember all the young brothers who were being killed by the black cops down there?
Right.
Remember the black cops were down there killing all them young brothers? What was that?
Oh yeah.
And I realize that this is a national problem, and when this new world order, while it's going off, it's not just happening with so-called African Americans. It's happening with everybody who is gonna oppose what's going on. So this is why it's important that we look out for each other, love one another, and have as much information as we can in these coming days, weeks, and months. So in closing, Dee, since you have been a wonderful co-host with us tonight, what do you want to leave with us tonight before we go on into the weekend? And you getting your barbecue gear all ready?
I got my chicken wings marinating. I just would like to say thank you so much, Nisi, Buck, and Rick for doing the show. I mean, you guys bring so much to information to the people who need it so desperately. And you know, I'm going to take a few of these videos, take my laptop, and go around to them barbecues and start playing some of y'all videos.
Well,
thank you.
Great.
Well, thank you, Dee, and thank you for sharing with us. It's always wonderful to have you. It's always welcome to have knowledgeable people on the show to help us out, because we don't know everything, but what we don't know is people like you that, you know, come share with us and make sure that we know it. Rick, what you want to say in closing, brother?
Oh, I just wanted to say in reference to what Dee was saying earlier about this stuff has been going on for a while now, and all the exercise and stuff that she was involved in. Another thing that's been going on for a while that I don't think very many people notice is you notice how they're building all these highways in the city, all these like roundabout highways. They're building them all over in all the larger cities, and that's not for traffic. Those are for if they have to land planes, if they have to move troops, tanks, and stuff like that. Because you don't see as many exits on these highways as you do on a regular highway, and they're all around. They're circling the whole city, you know, and things like that. And these are some of the things that we don't pay attention to that should be giving you a hint of what people are trying to do to you. And with that, I just want to say good night. And out here trying to wait for this dude to fix my truck so I can get out of here. I'm sorry wasn't on time. And I had a bunch of notes, but I couldn't even get to them because I'm not at home. So to everybody, good night.
Well, we still appreciate you joining us, brother, even while you're sitting by the side of your car. Miss Nisi, what do you want to close with, love?
I just want to close with, we're here to share this light. We want the people to grab it, to pass the light on to their children. We need them to just open up and be imparted with the light that we're trying to share, and everyone who, you know, embraces what we're doing, of like minds trying to do the same. That's what we need. That's our passion, and that's what we try to do, and we want people hopefully to be on board with us doing that.
Thank you, Nisi. I want to close with this. Bobby Wright said it. History does not forgive those who lose their way. Now, we can keep playing this role like we don't understand what's going on. We can keep pretending like we don't see. We can keep putting our head in the sand. We can keep playing around. But while we're playing around, America is burning. And the only one who's going to put out the fire is us. So thank you for joining us tonight. Please, tomorrow on this 4th of July, take notes. It's like Dee was saying. Go by these parks and take notes and ask questions to see where the people are at. And ask them, are you for real? Because we just act like everything is hunky-dory. When we see, we're dropping like flies around here. So history does not forgive those who lose their way. So let's stop losing our way. I'm Buck Wylam. Thank you for joining us at African Americans Ain't African Radio. Please go to our website, AfricanAmericans.org. A lot of information. And the information that's in the chat room on Facebook will blow you away. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Good night.